Hello, everybody, and thank you very much for joining me for another Tales from the Crypt review. Today it is Season 2, Episode 7, The Sacrifice, directed by Richard Greenberg and starring Kim Delaney as Gloria, Kevin Kilner as James, and Michael Ironside as Jerry. And I have to say, this episode is kind of unusual for a Tales from the Crypt episode because it's not really a horror episode or a comedy episode, the two things the show is known for. It's kind of just a straight up mystery suspense story, which is fine. I don't mind the change of pace, but I have to say, I feel like they could have done a little bit more with this episode. It kind of lacks the energy and passion that the show usually has, the fun basically, and it's kind of just there. It's an okay episode. There's nothing really terrible about it, in my opinion, but there's nothing great about it either. So we start with a pretty typical plot for this kind of story. We have an insurance salesman named James, and he meets this woman named Gloria in an elevator who he instantly likes quite a bit. And he's going to sell insurance to this guy, Mr. Fielding. And I have to say, Mr. Fielding himself isn't really that interesting of a character. But I do like the guy's parrot, who says some hilarious things all throughout the episode. And actually gets the last word in the episode as well, which is kind of interesting. So it turns out that James was referred by his boss named Jerry to sell this Mr. Fielding some insurance. And of course, in kind of a plot twist, it turns out that Gloria is married to this Mr. Fielding, and she also supposedly can't stand this man Jerry much either. All of this will make a little bit more sense as the episode goes along. So basically, he does sell, James sells this Mr. Fielding the insurance, but Gloria, seemingly also liking James, goes to pay him a visit, and they definitely make love. I guess that's a good way to put it. And they also make this plan to get rid of Gloria's husband, of course, because she would rather be with James. So James goes back and pays Mr. Fielding a visit, and he actually throws this guy off the balcony, which is kind of a strange way to kill this guy, but I guess it works. And of course, Gloria plays along and does her part well. So James and Gloria think they're in the clear. They make out again. So everything's pretty straightforward at this point. It just kind of happens. Not too much excitement, but it's fine. So then everything seems to be going well for James and Gloria when we are introduced to the character of Jerry. And I have to say the episode does pick up a little bit here. It turns out Gloria is still saying she can't stand him because they had some kind of past history. But Jerry feels different. He still wants Gloria. And he also says he saw the killing take place, which I guess is convenient. Probably a little too convenient, but it makes sense when we get to the twist of the episode at the end. So it turns out, of course, that Jerry is going to blackmail Gloria and James. He says basically because he wants to share Gloria, which is a pretty disturbing thought. So they really have no choice because Jerry has pictures. This really disturbs James, of course, to the point where when Gloria comes looking for him, at this point he basically overdosed on some pills, and he writes a note saying that he did this whole thing, and it basically clears Gloria, but Gloria burns the note, and it makes sense in the end because it turns up that Gloria is not very upset with this guy at all. It was all a plan by her and Jerry the entire time. And my question on this part is, although the plan works, how did they know for sure that James would play his part the way he did? It does seem a little bit like a plot contrivance that this guy just did everything perfectly the way they thought he would. I mean, did they study him a lot beforehand? Seems kind of strange, but I guess if you just go with it, it's fine. And then the parrot gets the last word. I think if somebody asked the parrot, probably Gloria would be in trouble, but nobody probably will. So I think they basically get away with their plan, which is kind of interesting too, because a lot of times on this show, villainous actions have consequences. But in this case, it looks like they'll get away with it. So kind of an interesting twist to an episode that just kind of lacks something. It's just missing the normal flow that the show has. So overall, I'm pretty neutral on this episode, and I'm going to give The Sacrifice a 2.5 out of 5. I feel like it's an episode fans of the show can watch if they want to see a change of pace, and it's a fine episode to watch. But I also think that if you miss this episode, you won't really be missing anything great. So just kind of an average episode. So a 2.5 out of 5 for The Sacrifice. And as always, thank you very much for watching.